Movie time, movie time, movie time! Right, what am I gonna watch today? Where are we? Where are we gonna get? What are we gonna get? Aha! Yes! The Fly! Everyone, welcome back to Magpie Movies with me, as always, Geordie Paul. Thanks again for coming back. So today is another new kind of series I'm going to start, and I've decided to call it... That's right, Replay Reviews. So within this section, it's going to be a case of me going over older films and doing a new look at them, and ones I haven't watched since before I started my YouTube channel, and then giving them basically a review. So we're talking about 80s, 90s, early 2000s, 60s, 70s, basically all the films that haven't really come into light of late. So I thought, you know what, the other day I watched David Cronenberg's The Fly. Got it for like £4 off Music Magpie, so I thought, you know what, I enjoyed it the first time round. Is it going to be any different when I watch it this time? So, let's go over the specs. So, The Fly, released in 1986, directed by, obviously, David Cronenberg. It stars Jeff Goldblum in the lead role as South Brundle and Gina Davis as his love interest, the journalist Veronica. It's filmed in a 1:85:1 aspect ratio, which means it's full screen, which is something, as you may or may not know, is always a winner for me. I prefer them full screen, even in 4K, Blu-ray, DVD. The bigger the telly, the bigger the screen, the better the picture. Not necessarily the better the picture, but I just like it. If you've got a big TV, you want to see fill the whole screen. It is 91 minutes in length, so an hour and 31 minutes. And it also, this film back in the 1987 Oscars, won the award for Best Makeup. So there you go. So a little bit of information for you. Another bit of background is this is obviously a remake of the 1958 The Fly, obviously of the same name, which stars Vincent Price, which I am a big fan of. I think it's quite good. It's not too bad. It's obviously dated, which again, The Fly, which from 1958, was based on a 1957 short story, which was in 1957's Playboy issue on June of that year. So June 1957 in Playboy. There was a short story entitled The Fly, which a year later got adapted into a big screen movie back in the late 50s. And then in 1986, it got rebooted. We've got obviously The Fly. And then in 1989, I believe it was The Fly 2, which wasn't as good as the first one. So looking in this, I've done a bit of research on this. So firstly, when it came to light and there were people who wanted to rejig the Fly franchise, remake it, there was a up and coming British director called Robert Bierman. Now he was initially added on as the director for this movie, but unfortunately when they were starting to get around scripts and concepts, he was called away from Los Angeles to South Africa where his family were, and unfortunately his daughter passed away. So the studio gave him time, but after 3 months he said he could no longer stay on the project and he had to leave. So at that time the film was without a director. And then, of course, they brought in David Cronenberg. Now, at the time, David Cronenberg, when they wanted him originally to do it, he was actually attached to do Total Recall before Paul Verhoeven did that. So by the time that Robert Bierman had the tragic accident in his family, they reapproached David Cronenberg, and at that point he was therefore no longer on Total Recall. He wasn't associated with that, and he said, I'll only come on if I can redo, rewrite, rejig the script. So they accepted. David Cronenberg therefore then became the cameo. To keep being the cameo. David Cronenberg then became the director. Now, going back to what I just said there, David Cronenberg does have a cameo in this movie. About halfway through, there's a birthing scene, and he's a doctor there helping the lead character of Gina Davis give birth, and that person pulling whatever it is out is David Cronenberg. So there you go. So the film itself. So we have Jeff Goldblum, who is the scientist Seth Brundle. He is an employee of Bartok Industries, and he's been given money from them to go through ideas. He meets Gina Davis, Veronica, at a convention or art show or some kind of science show, and he invites her back to his lab to show her something that she could that would impress her. And at this point, he shows her the two telepods, and then moving on from that, they then develop a romantic relationship. Now, Gina Davis's boss back at her magazine or newspaper that she works, I think it's a magazine, is actually her former boyfriend, who's still a bit infatuated with her. So in between keeping him at bay, she started this romantic relationship with Jeff Goldblum's character, Seth Brundle. So she's basically just staying with him, moved on from the story about that, just started being in a relationship with him. Jeff Goldblum's character starts off with a silk stocking, and then he moves on to baboons. One of them doesn't go very well, and he realizes that his telepods don't really take into account skin, so he has to redo that for the skin, and he successfully does a baboon. Everything goes fine, and then he has an argument with Gina Davis's character, and he believes that she's still having an affair with her former partner, her boss. So they have an argument, she leaves. He gets drunk, he goes into the telepod because he wanted her to go through, but she wouldn't. And he said the next stage is going to be humans. He decides to go and do it when he's drunk, in a fit of anger and a fit of jealousy. And obviously, as per the title, there is a housefly that gets into it, and that's it. I'm not going to spoil anymore. If you haven't seen it, I know it's a 1986 film, so a lot of you will have seen it, but if you haven't, I'll stop there. Overall, going back as an actual review of this movie, it still holds up to this day. You know, 1986 film, so what, you've got 20, 35 years later, it still holds up. The only thing which is dated is the dress sense of the characters, which makes sense because it's 35 years old. But the practical effects as opposed to CGI of the fly creature is amazing. You know, it won the Oscar in 1987 for Best Makeup, which makes complete sense because, as you see, Jeff Goldblum's transformation going from normal Jeff Goldblum before they bring in the animatronic of the fly, it's made, and it's really good artwork, makeup for the time. But yeah, really good film. The dialogue's great. Jeff Goldblum's really good in it. Gina Davis is great as a supporting actress. Overall, I mean, there's only 3 main people in it, to be fair. There's only going to be Gina Davis, Jeff Goldblum, and her boss or ex-partner. It is basically a love triangle story with a transformation in it. That's basically what it is. I remember this coming out back in 1986, and it was in the News of the World as a supplement. Oh, this horrific new film come out by David Cronenberg. It's horrible, and they showed pictures and everything. But watching it again the other night, I enjoyed it again. It is a classic horror, and it is a very good classic horror. You know, it's not brilliant. It still has its flaws. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, if you haven't seen The Fly, I definitely would recommend getting it. It's on the cheap now. And I've been starting watching, it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of documentaries on it about how the film came into being, how they got directors on board, which is where I got my drama information from. How they got the actors on board, how they did the practical effects, special effects, there's deleted scenes in it. It's just a really good hour and a half movie. You can leave your brain at the door, you can enjoy it. There's gore, there's good script in it, there's good acting in it. It's really good. So yeah, so that's my review of The Fly. I thoroughly recommend you give it a watch. If you're squeamish, don't watch the last 25 minutes or so, but it's really good. So I'm going to give this a Rolfie review rating. Oh, start again. A Rolfie review rating even of 7.5 out of 10. Enjoyable, not rubbish. It's not brilliant, but 7.5 out of 10 I think justifies it for what it is. So anyway, there you go. So that's my review of The Fly. I hope you enjoyed that. A quick video on the review, on my Replay Reviews new series. So yes, so we're over the 300 subscriber mark now, which is great. So thank you to everybody who's watched that. Big thumbs up to you. I'm going to be doing the draw at some point next week, where you can win the Band of Brothers Blu-ray Steelbook. So thanks for those who've submitted videos. Thanks for those who've commented on my previous video. If you still want to enter, you can. Just make sure you comment with your favourite war movie, which isn't a big hitter. And if you've done a video, make sure you comment that you've done a video so that you've done it. And then I can put your name in 3 times. So 3 times for a video and 1 time for just a comment. And then pull it out the hat. Last one in the hat is the one who wins it. So thanks so much for taking part in that. Don't forget, obviously, with regards to this video and all the videos, you can like, share and subscribe as per this. Be very kind of you. Loving the fact I've got 300 subscribers. But to me, it's not about how many subscribers I've got. I want you to watch me, so I want more subscribers, and I want to obviously give competitions and giveaways for that. But I want to make sure that the content you're watching is something you enjoy. So if you're not enjoying this, then let me know. Leave a comment in messages below, and I'll do my best to read them. Well, actually, I read everyone, and if they've got any feedback, then I'm more than welcome to take it on board. You can also watch me on Twitter, which is at magpiemovies_1978, which should be here. If it's not, it'll be here. I always get them completely mixed up. So thanks for following me on there. And this Sunday at 8:30, we have another live stream with me, Rob, and Pete. So Pete Blu-ray Bullet Ainslie and Rob Robafett's Bounty. This week's special guests are going to be JT at the movies, as well as Tony from Horror and Tudge. So I'm really looking forward to that. Tony's supposed to be on a few weeks ago, but then the Pitt incident happened and it all went to pot, and I told him I'd get him back on. He's coming back on, and I'm really happy to have him back on the live stream. So thanks for that, Tony. And again, thanks for James at JT at the movies. So that's it, people. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you, if not on the live stream, on another video. That's Jodie Paul, done.